There are also other ex-students of mine which now attend this church or have attended it. Our club became one of the best clubs in our organisation. It was very well known in the area, often being in the local rag. I was seriously considering going into teaching full-time as I was receiving offers to teach in a few places, including verbal to teach at the police academy and local schools for self-defence. I was looking at various halls around the place, and it was just not long after that that I became a Christian. Through Michelle, I must say. Michelle had been searching for something. She found the wrong thing a couple of times. And luckily, she hit on the right thing. We went to a uniting church first. We became baptised in the Baptist church, a local one. And we stayed with that church for a little while until that church folded. There was a few internal problems within the church. We became disgruntled, I suppose, with the church. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't have a clue. We couldn't believe, that Christians could be like that. I strayed for 4 years, Michelle for about 10 and a half. The Lord was still tugging me in. I felt that pull of the Lord. I couldn't get away from it. I was seeing people who were Christians in my business. I was a rep. I used to travel around a lot. And I became drawn to various Christians that were around. Started talking to them about their religions and so on. And that started feeding me, giving me the thoughts and so on. I had a problem in my club at one stage, and it was then that I spoke to the Lord. I asked the Lord to come into my life to help me out, and he did. I was driving down the coast. I'm diverting a little bit again from here. And I wanted to pray the Lord's Prayer. I hadn't said it for so long, since I was a kid. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to say it. I asked the Lord to help me. He did. He literally brought the prayer alive to me. In colour, it was just like being taken to the throne room. I saw coloured visions of people. I don't know how I did it when I was driving, but I made it down the coast somehow. And that prayer, in one part, helped me to overcome the problem that I was having at the time. That problem was I needed to forgive someone. That prayer showed me that very strongly. Every time I drove down that part, it was my secret place, my special place where I got with the Lord. And that prayer would be highlighted to me each time for a long time. And anyhow, when I started going back to church again after that 4-year break, I started going to a Spirit-filled Pentecostal church. This is when Pastor Tony Rod had been having his cancer, and he was being healed of his cancer at that time. He was going to this particular church. I went there with him. Absolutely loved it. I had a hard time raising my hands and a few other things and clapping at the time, but after a while I just loved it. I could never go back to not doing that again. After a while of being at that church, I became a home group leader. I was then led to the tribe of Judah to start up a series of home groups with them, which I did. I was there for some time, to try and get them to be more have more fellowship after church, because all they were doing, they were just going to church and then that was it, see you later. Nothing happened during the week. We had a Hell's Angel that had arrived there who didn't have his colours on that particular day. He'd gone into a few churches. The churches he went into were more traditional sort of churches. He was rejected by the people. I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. I started talking to him. Others started talking to him. He felt at home. He eventually started coming on a more regular basis. He had to go back to Sydney, where he came from, and we prayed that he continued in the Lord after that. Certainly one of the Hell's Angels is one of the hardest groups to get out of. They've all got certain ties where it's extremely hard to get out of any bikie groups. Can't just walk out. The Lord has shown me love, has shown me how to show this love to others. I remembered, only just this morning actually, that I'd read a book called The Cross and the Switchblade when I was a kid. I think I was in grade 4, and that book actually had a lot of meaning to me when I did become a Christian, and helped me to understand what that fellow went through at that time, helped me to go through it myself, and to put God in my life and to look to God in what I was doing. When he was teaching me this love and filling me with this love and showing to others, the first place that I had to do it was show it to my family. And then to those around me. The Lord has taken me through many phases, even with my daughter, who is very similar to me in nature. I was also very harsh on Michelle for a long time, not physically, but mentally. It has taken me a long time to hug people or to even shake hands. I was never one to do it. It's only the last few years that I've got used to it. I'm still coming out a little bit in that area. You'll have to forgive me if I don't shake your hand. It's nothing personal. It's just me. It's just my makeup. As I wasn't brought up in a loving environment, we didn't show love at home. It's only in the last few years that I started to shed tears even. As I was never one to show emotion. When I feel the old me starting to rise, I now look to the Lord for help, to help me overcome those not so good urges. There's been times when I have looked to thump somebody or something because I was frustrated, I was feeling aggressive, and I was just in one of those places, and the old me was starting to rise again. And I must say, it wasn't that long ago, actually, that I had one of those. The Lord has taken me on a big walk with certain prophecies spoken over me to help me keep focused. Occasionally I continue to go over these prophecies to keep that in me, to keep it in my system, to help me push forward. And he's placed some great people in my path to help me. I've been led in many directions and have many testimonies to give. Years ago, I'd been guided by the Lord to install a spiritual canopy over the Redlands area. This happened when I was involved with the Redlands Easter Festival. Pastors Tony and Liz were there. And I had this thing that was coming to me, and I couldn't fully understand it. I used to talk to Tony about it. I used to talk to Glenn Gray about it. The more I spoke about it, the more it started to unfold in me. The initial phase of this was installing a canopy over the Cleveland showgrounds, which myself, Tony, Glenn Gray, Larry, Pastors Peter, Anthony, Kerry, as well as others of this church at the time, and I must say I wasn't a member of this church back then, came and helped me at that time to install that canopy. This is the main canopy over the whole Redlands, I must say, sorry. It took probably a few years to actually get this happening. There was a lot of prayer, a lot of research into the area, a lot of prayer into certain areas of it. It's probably one of the largest witches' covens in the area around here. It's got a very heavy feel over the area. Had. And it was something little that could be done to try and help this feeling in this area. The churches weren't growing. People were walking away from the churches. I had to learn a lot about spiritual warfare back then. I got involved with Marilyn McKenney. Some of you may know of her. That's her specialty area, so to speak. She taught me a lot about it. I went to a few training seminars of hers. And when I spoke to her about what the Lord has shown me, she says, "Where did you get this stuff?" And I said, "From the Lord." And it was some of the same stuff that she was doing, same techniques that she was using where she was going. And I'm talking, she goes to India and other places like that. Sorry, I'm just starting to wind up now. So that canopy was put in place, and a few of us had literally walked the showgrounds every Saturday morning for years. It was myself, Pastor Tony, and Larry, Glenn Gray, and a few others. We literally, there was a core group of us, had done this every Saturday for years to get the prayer into firstly the showgrounds, because we were having the Redlands Easter Festival there, but also for the area, for the churches, for the pastors, everything. There's a lot of prayer that went into it. Since setting this up, this spiritual canopy, myself and Michelle have had a lot of extremely heavy spiritual attacks against us. If you can imagine, we've just attacked the forces of nature, the forces of evil that are protecting this area for the evil ones. They're the big ones. Because we had gone against that, we had received a lot of this spiritual attack. And I tell you, we've had it for the last 7 years. This year was our year of coming back into the fold, restoration. I'm slowly coming into that restoration. I need to change things in my life still. I still need to feel God because of what's happened to us over the years. And I still need to always focus on God in everything I do. And it's only God that's helped me get through it all. It's only that focus on Him, His Word, His will, and His way that has helped me get through it all, and Michelle. I know that there's something else He wants me to do. There's definitely something else there. I don't know what it is yet, but I know that I have to prepare myself again. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm in that preparation stage. My own mental, physical, spiritual way of doing it. I'm just letting myself be led by the Holy Spirit and see where He leads me now.